listeners, Harika here, and I'm super excited to welcome you to UppTalk. If you're ready to learn and get your hands work wonders in the world of information technology, then you're in the right place. When I say UppTalk, we are not just another edtech company. Consider we are your learning partner committed to unlocking your full potential. Whether you're stepping into the world of technology for the first time or looking to advance your career, we provide top-tier, hands-on courses to build up your career. Let's take our first step towards learning here and explore it.
As we know, order to cash, people call it. It's basically the process of getting orders from the customers and then processing them and then finally getting billed and then paid from the client. Order to cash, assuming cash from the customer after receiving orders. In this process, we set up many things. We set up our customers, invoice, categories, groups, revenue categories, sales item. And we do many more things. We receive customer payments, we do customer deposits, we do customer refunds. That we do many things in around 4 to 6 cycles. To begin with, we will be getting the customer category and customer group. I hope we are aware with the term called customer. A customer can be an individual or a legal entity or a retailer, wholesaler, whosoever. It is to whom we are sending our goods and services. That would be our customer that is taking our goods and services. Basically, now as we are having customers, obviously we would be selling something. That would be our sales item. How do we create customer categories and groups? Before we set up the customer categories and groups, we need to set up the customer. Categories and groups, we can assign it while creating the customers. The task is maintain customer categories. This is nothing but the category of the customer to whom we sell our goods and services. It can be manufacturing services, healthcare, pharma industry, non-pharma industry. It can be anything. This is the category of the customer whom we are dealing with. We already have a lot of categories here. Just add one by clicking on this plus button here and saying see. Let me see retail customers. Then, after taking categories, group them. This is a group of retail customers. This is a group of wholesalers because this is equal for IT, non-IT that. We would name it as NDPC. Customer. Once we are done with the custom categories and quotes, we will create revenue category. I love it. Rahul, sorry to interrupt. Is it on the supplier creation? What we are doing now, we are not on the supplier side. Supplier will come later on. The order could be different, what you are following up in the PDF, but we start with customers first. Thank you. No, give it a name. Let's say revenue comes from selling hot equipment, electrical. If any text applies YD, GST text able sales, non-text able sales, you can map it here. Otherwise, you can skip it. Classification. If you want to classify this, although it's not mandatory, you can still want to say it's a goods that we are selling. Then if you want to add some more information to it, then you can say work, tech type here, division give salesperson that. And if one of the values that you define is mandatory on the transaction, then you can say required on transaction. This is checked and non-allegable when required. On transaction, checked on maintain related work type usage. Basically, if you go to maintain related work type usage and there you mark it as mandatory, it will be checked here. Some information, that's fine. Otherwise, we just say now, after that, what we do? Create sales. That we will be selling to the customers. Let's say transformers. And any alternate name, electrical transform box. Sales item description. Open. Sales item identified. That would say THV. We create a sales item group again, just customers and all those things. You can create a sales item group also. You can group this kind of items into what in particular head. If you want to do that, there is a task called create sales item group. The steps used in the search bar, you will get it. And then you can put it here as it's not mandatory, we will skip it. And prevent it from getting it. Reverse transformer. Now we are 200% sure that we did create the revenue category. Now why it's not a pairing of you? That is surprise. Maybe something happened and I don't know what happened, a glitch or something, but we're back on track here. Sales item is a bundle. Now if we are selling multiple items in one single packet, example could be 5 chips packet in one bundle, 5 different packets of biscuits in one packet, or examples. Could be your laptop comes to the charger, laptop bag mouse, all those things. Those part of bundle, if you click on that, sales items are bundled. And then in this tab, a table be enabled for you. And here you can add those sales items which are part of this bundle here. Otherwise, you can skip this. If you see, I'll tick this, it will disappear. You will not be able to add. The only way to add is click on that plus button there. If it is quotable, then click on this. Fulfillment required. If it requires a fulfillment of particular terms and conditions, then yes, click on this if it is renewable. Just Netflix subscription. Suppose we are Netflix and we have customers and their contract. Or there, this item is renewable, that every month it will be renewed. Those kind of scenarios. Yes, click on this renewable purchase item mapping is for basically your intercom. Transition, let's keep it for now. Classification of this would be good. And go up price of this, say this each cost. Currency is in USD, which we are selling this, and the cost and price fields are here. Cost is how much it costed you to make this item or build this product. Price is in what you are selling to the customers. This could have cost you $50 to build, to manufacture, to produce, but you are selling this in $100. This is for your all contract and billing chapter. Come to that later on. If any text applies to it, textable chess, all those things. We mention it here. Revenue treatment. Say this would be based on invoice. And come to all these fields here little later on. Work tax. If you want to add some work tax here with this information, it's fine. Then we will talk about payment terms. If you want to use the menu category, let me show this here's item there. Whatever sales item you will add, they will all appear here under this revenue category. And if you want, you can create a revenue category hierarchy also. And you can add this revenue category under that, just to look fancy and all those things. But it's not required. We will play simple here. Now we will go to payment terms. Payment terms. Now this payment term is common for both suppliers and customers. We can use it in both scenarios, in supplier invoices also, in trustable invoices also. It doesn't matter. Let's read out existing ones, and then, if you want, we can create a new one. Otherwise, you can skip it. First of all, you have to give a name and to add one. This is the plus button here. When you click on plus, the same screen will appear. First of all, you have to give a name. Name would be net 10, net 30, immediate also. Here we are saying 2% 10. Net 30 means net 30 would be the days from the invoice date that the customer would get to pay. Will give them 2% discount if they pay within 10 days from the invoice date. Okay. It's simple. They're adding days here. You can add months also, day of the month also, end of the month also. We're simply saying that from the invoice date, the client will get 30 days to pay. But if they pay within 10 days, they will get 2% discount. What it means, we don't need anyone on any new one here. We are good here. We can skip it. Because almost everything what we need in payment is mentioned here. But for practice, you can create one if you want. Otherwise, you can skip it. Rahul, I have a query here. What if, suppose, customer pays after payment times? After 45 days, even we have to input that as if they're paying late, we have to charge fine. Something interesting that. This which I was about to come later on, but you just ask it at the time. We have something called late fee. It is maintain interest in late fee. Go to this. By setting up the customer, you will also see. If you go to the session called maintain finance charges rule, we have, for example, 25 years. You have to give a name here, description, frequency. Of this late fee would be one time or recurring. What will be the fee amount? Let's say 25, currency would be USD, in which you would charge them if they cross the due. Due date a grace period 5 days, still give them 5 days. Enter the number of days you allow from due date of an invoice before you begin to assess a finance charges, a payment after the due date, but during the grace period. Won't declare interest charge of the late fee. Again, they will have 5 days to pay. Days to generate interest document. Enter the number of days you allow before you begin to generate the interest of day 3, first processing run. You can mention here the number of days you want to charge interest. Start charging interest. If you say 1% monthly here is to generate interest, document would be 3. 5 annual percentage rate is 12. It's a recurring and monthly will start them. Recurring is not every month. If they're not going to pay every month, be charging 1% of total amount. Understood. Thanks. Now that this would come in customer section, also when we were setting up the customer. Then you can maintain interest in it. Default and overheads. Here you can add the company, here the customer category and the group and which. Interest will later be applicable on them. You mentioned here also interest rule by default. And later you will also next. Calculation option. Use on account amount. If they have some extra amount on us, you can use that. Output options. Document output options. Create new invoice for finance charges. A new invoice would be created for finance charges. Payment terms would be immediate for those late fee charges. Interesting. Copy customer work text, whatever work text you find on the customer side. A copy that on the new invoice cost center. Even mention here target company overrides. You can play around with a lot on this feature. If it is a new company, you have to set up all these things first of all. Just some question. If you have already a company where we have set up everything regarding related to whatever the requirement is required for a new company, you can just tag it as to the other company as if it is same and the criteria is same, all this stuff. We can create one generic one and then we can set it on all companies. That will not be a problem. There's no security issues with that. We can just assign all the tasks, whatever we have created for them. Other companies can create new company. You can assign to new company as that's we can use the same one to other companies. Thanks, no worries. Now we would be coming to the customer setup, and again, this is an event we will say customer, and you can see it's a 2-step of business process initiation and review. And we can initiate this. the task here. Security. All good. Now what do is go with the task for create. Customer, give it a name. Let's say name it as something as a different type of nickname. Energy Green Limited or Green Energy Limited. Green Energy Limited. A customer category. What was the customer category? Just created a device. Transformers was NB. It was NPF guys and TPC. Payment terms will call it immediate. And it takes code applies. Therefore send 5%. You can mention it here. Otherwise you can skip it. Does it accept all currencies? Yes, it does. Default currency, let's say USD of this customer, they do transactions. Customer security segment is basically suppose there are for an corporate world for every customers. There are account manager who handle the clients to build relationship. In those kinds of scenarios, if you want to specify the certain people will look after XC clients from EMEA, from AP, from Asia, from India, that you can define those security segment people here. Otherwise, you can skip it. And come to the security chapter. Talk about this. If you want to inactivate this customer, do from here, or if you want to hold it for. XYZ reason that you are still verifying documents and everything, you can do it as description here restricted to companies. If you want to restrict this customer to be used with specific company, only then you can mention that company here or hierarchy here, or you can skip it. If there are children to this customer, suppose this is a parent customer, and there are children also set up in this tenant, you can add those children here. Let's say Dower, let's find out. Something, oh my bad, I've lost our tenants. Let's say all these are the customers, child customers of this customer. Again, if you want to add some information here, that's fine. Tenant and collection. Now there's a reason. Rating agency called Dun & Bradstreet DMB, as you can see here, which verifies the company's health in terms of financial portfolio, how they would are in paying back the suppliers, or their financial health, how they treat their employees, all those things they verify. If you have those kinds of information with you, if you have received those kind of rating certain companies, big giants, corporate giants, look out for this information. Before selling out something to clients or building a relationship with the customer, If you have this information or you can ask it from the client, there is a fee attached to it which you have to pay to this DNB company. If you have paid that fees or if the client has paid that fees and you have asked this information, then simply be mentioned here those details, otherwise skip it. Then you got a dunning exempt from dunning option here. Now, what does it mean that certain clients, when they just pass on the due date or past, we send them letters or emails? You're not paid. It's been 10 days. You're prosecuted. First letter would be a love letter. Second would be more of mama's letter that takes some legal action. Third would be a daddy's letter. We are going to court and we're going to sue you because you're not payers. That if you want to exempt this customer from that, you can exempt from running here. Otherwise, you can skip it. If you're giving something on credit to them, then you can mention the currency here in which you will be the credit limit, let's say 5,000 max, will be given pay. In details, default payment type in which the client will pay us, the customer will pay us cash, let's say cash default reference type. In basically this, if you see Bolito Bancario BP, these are payment gateways. We have an India Paid, Phone Pay, all those things. Similarly, this country is also, these are the payment gateways through which client can pay us. If they say, I'll be paying through Bolito Bancario method, then you will say Bolito Bancario here, and every time you get a invoice if you ask for a reference number. Not get into that now. Mandate require. If you are selecting a payment type as direct debit means, we would be directly debiting the customer account. If that is what you want to do, then a mandate is required, signed by the client that, yes, you are free to debit our accounts on this particular date of due date. And that is the case, then click on this mandate required, otherwise skip it. Always separate payments. What does it mean? That suppose we have sent 10 invoices to the client, we have requested client to send us 10 different payments, not just one. What it will do is that it will be easy to reconcile the payments. That against invoice number X, we got this payment. Invoice number Y, we got this payment. It's better to reconcile, an easy way also to see the payments. If that is the thing with this client, yes, we can all do separate payments here. Even we are selling goods and services to this client. But if you want to remit, it will be receiving the remit from different customers. With a different remit from customer, then itself cannot be selected as remit from customer. In simple words, but contradiction kind of thing, customers with a different remit from customer then itself cannot be second based debit from customer. Simply, there is no need of this field. Now, just to confuse the users, basically, simple words is telling you if you want to set a different customer, it's not possible. It has to be same customer. Then why you introduce this field? I have no clue. I have no clue why they introduced this field. Now this is interest and late fee. Remember exempt interest fee, late fee, all those things you can mention here. For example, we can say 25 USD late fee due here and say 1% monthly also. Banking. This is the customer bank account that we have to set up. Found nickname binary country. I'll set India here. I am just using dummy values here. Account number, name on account, that would be checking. Means current account. Prenote is a way to test the bank account that the credentials are correct or not. If it requires prenote payment type that they would be testing is EFT. If you have bank address here, if customer is a credit card profile, you can enter the credit card details here. Remit to lockbox. If they have a lockbox, then you can mention it here. Lockbox is in ATMs. We have a place to deposit check. There's not a very much. A deposit kind of box where you just put your check there. It's the same thing. In us, it's called lockbox, where you can deposit the payment of. You have to pay a check place where you can deposit checks, basically. Text information if any text code applies by default. Every time we table this client, a 4 cent would be charged. From this client, then text IDs. That's it for the USA. Text ID type would be a number. And dummy values here. Tax status of this customer in USA. They are customer goods, customer services. And it's a customer goods. With only tax status if any, otherwise you can skip it. Now, this is a new feature which they have introduced, defining entity, activity type and code. You can recent release which got in 21st of September. This has come into the play here, where you can define a type of the entity that you are setting up. Simple word. Notes, if you want to add some notes here for this client. I've been doing some transactions, just some bit for now. Default work text. Somebody has marked some work text as a mandatory value here. 4 cent. Thank you. Our customer is set up. We got a customer ID here. It's approved. Financial snapshot. There is nothing here because we have not done any transaction with this client yet. We're all set here. Now before we start transactions, we have to look for the customer invoice BP. That's we check the customer BP. Now we have to check the customer invoice BP here. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@upptalk.com.